I don't like that shot. That's a little better. Hey everybody, Adam Savage here in my cave, and I am answering questions from tested patrons. And this is a funny one. Mark Gab, 1975. Mark AB, 1975. I'm guessing that's your birth year. Wants to know, hi Adam, what is the single best and single worst thing about being in your position of worldwide fame? Thanks. Okay, first of all, I am not in a position of worldwide fame. I had a television show for a long time that played in over 100 countries, and yeah, I am somewhat famous. I think it's the best way to describe it. But the drop off since I haven't been regularly on television has been precipitous and delightful. So you asked what's the single best and single worst thing. I'm going to start with the worst thing. And I haven't experienced the worst thing to say about most of the deal with being famous is that it can frequently be inconvenient. But I'm saying that it is the smallest complaint to be played on the smallest violin, because it's just like you can't get out of the restaurant fast because someone wants to take, I mean, come on, sometimes that can feel like, I really would wish I didn't have to do this. And then you remember you live this fantasy and you get to do these amazing things. So shut up and deal with it. So minor inconveniences aside, I do have an experience that was genuinely awful, and it was because I was famous. I'm no longer this famous, but back in the mid-aughts, Mythbusters was at its absolute peak. This is 2008, 2007. And I'm traveling across the country with Thing One, who was like 9 or 10 years old at the time. And we are in, I think, the Denver airport, which is a big airport. Yeah, I'm almost positive we're in Denver airport. I know a lot. I have a very good sense memory for America's airports. So we're in Denver airport, and we got separated. And this is 2008, 2009. Again, Mythbusters is at its peak. We're getting a very respectable viewer share every week. News stories come out about many of the episodes we release in a season. We're doing shows like David Letterman and Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel frequently. So I'm very famous at that moment in time. And I'm traveling, so I'm wearing a baseball cap, but it's not helping. And I can't find my son. And the looking for him is compounded by the fact that I'm in a public space, an airport, where it felt like 70% of the people in the big room that I'm in know who I am and are trying to make eye contact with me because they're excited. They see me. They like the show. They see someone who makes a thing they like. I've been in a room. I was in a restaurant where Richard Gere was eating a few tables over. I couldn't think of anything but Richard Gere. I understand. But when you are trying to look for your child and everybody whose eyes you meet could take that as an opportunity to come up and talk to you, and you have to say, I can't talk, I got to find my kid. I have rarely felt so claustrophobic as I did in that moment. And I don't feel claustrophobic spatially. Like, you could put me in a coffin, put dirt on me, and I'll be fine for a couple of days. Small spaces don't squick me out. But situations like that, where I can't actively look for my child because of the social dynamics of making eye contact, combined with the fact that I'm somebody that people want to talk to at that moment, that was intense. And I still, that stands out as one of the peak kind of really difficult moments where I wished I could have just become anonymous at that second. That's the worst thing. The best thing, it's the people. It's the fact that people want to come up all the time and tell me, and all of us, Jamie, Carrie, Tori, Scotty, what our work meant to them. What an unbelievable grace. And then you can make that person's day by signing something or taking a picture, giving them an autograph, talking to them for a little while. Simone Yatch told me that her mom said that her mom is slightly famous in Sweden. I'm not sure exactly how famous, but I know slightly famous, at least. And her mom said that having notoriety is a delightful ticket to make somebody's day with a very low amount of effort. If you put in a little more, it's even better. I have toured around the world with several stage shows since 2012. I've toured to multiple countries, hundreds of venues, and every single show that I did meet and greets every night. And the meet and greets are after the show, 100 people who've paid a premium ticket get filed through, and I meet and talk to and take a picture with every single one of them every night, 6 nights a week. And in the beginning, I'll admit, it was hard work. It was tiring. And then I realized why it was tiring. And I had a mental shift. And the realization was, when I meet somebody for whom my work meant something, frequently, well, they watch the show and they feel like they know me. And they do, to a large degree, because the output I've made on television and here on the web is what you see is what you get. This is me. This is a good portion of me. And so they feel a connection to me, and they want to deepen that connection in this conversation that we're going to have. And I can feel that desire for the connection. I can feel the pull because I'm a human being and I'm empathic, and I can, like all human beings, I can feel when another human being wants something. And that pull, that desire for connection, it is very easy to feel like you want to push back on that, like you want a little bit of space. As I'm saying this, and it has occurred to me over the years, I can barely imagine what it's like to be specifically an attractive woman for whom the whole world is that relationship. I can't even imagine. I feel like I have the tiniest window into that. So you feel that connection. You feel initially a desire to kind of push back a little bit, just to create a little bit of space for yourself, because someone's pulling you towards them in this social construct, and you want to give a little pushback. But I learned something, which is, don't push back. Please understand, I don't mean this as advice for pretty women to explore, because they have their totally own relationship to this. Just want to be super crystal clear about that. But for me, in my position as a famous person, what I have learned is that in those interactions with fans, instead of pushing back at all, I give in completely. And the moment I started doing that, the moment I gave all the way into that conversation and looked at what they were showing me and talked to them and became involved with them in the interaction that we were having and let it happen the way it was happening, I stopped getting tired after the meet and greets. So I would do I swear, it was almost like an overnight shift where I did a meet and greet on a Monday night, and it felt like it took 3 hours, and I was really tired at the end. I got back on the bus and I was like, man, wow. And it didn't take 3 hours. It usually took about 30, 40, 50 minutes to go through that number. Actually, just a bit over an hour. And then I had that epiphany about not holding back, about not pushing back, about bringing it in and letting the interaction happen as it wanted to happen. And that next meet and greet felt like it took 10 minutes to me. It passed like that. And ever since then, every meet and greet I've ever done has felt like that to me. 2 or 3 hours of autograph signing at Maker Faire just passes in a heartbeat as far as I'm concerned. And that's the best part. The best part is the people and the conversations you get to have with them. Yeah. Thank you so much for that awesome question. Tested patrons, your questions get better and better. Keep submitting them, and I will keep answering them, and I will see you next time.